We have a major problem with how we ramp new account executives. Your new AEs are being declared ramped at 3 or 6 months, but can they actually run discovery or execute the sales process without you jumping in to save them? Most can't, and that's the problem. Most sales teams ramp reps based on time in seat and not capability-based onboarding where you certify your new sellers. So I built a playbook full of frameworks, implementation roadmaps, and infrastructure guides that cut ramp time in half and have proven to improve win rates by 75%, and it's completely free. So stop this episode right now and go and download the Sales Readiness Playbook at therevenueenabler.com or use the link in the description below. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Hit Your Numbers podcast, and today I'm joined by Gabe. How's it going?
Great, James. First off, you know how I feel about you, but I want the world to know how much of a fan we are across the pond of you and what you do in our industry. So thanks so much for having me on the show, buddy.
No, I appreciate it. Do you know what? Before I jumped on the podcast here, I was thinking I need to do a really good job today because I know you run a very successful podcast. And whenever I interview people that run a podcast, my hands get a little bit sweaty. And my hands are a little bit sweaty right now. So I'm all for feedback. Give it to me. Let me know how I do after today. But yeah, thanks so much for
carving out the time. Like as soon as you asked me to be on the show, I absolutely 100%. I watch your stuff all the time. I follow what you do, and yes, I'm really happy to be here.
Very kind. Thank you so much. And anyone that's seen my new home office setup, this is the man that helped me do it. So yes, very grateful. Thank you for all of your tech support and help me build this command center that we were just talking about. Very cool.
Yes, I love mine too. It's very fun. I feel like we're like in the Matrix, like controlling the world, but it's pretty cool. Thank you so much.
Yeah, 100%. Cool. So I'm fired up for the conversation we're having today because I think it's such an important topic, and who knows, we might get into AI at some point, but the reality is human beings are still going to be right front and center when it comes to buying and selling and doing business. And I think a lot of people are going to start to realize that AI isn't going to replace a lot of human beings. In fact, it's going to enable human beings. So today we're going to talk about, and maybe this is a part one of how to recruit and retain. The key word there is retain SDRs in 2026 and all of the weirdness and challenges that we are being hit with and faced in this lovely day and age of AI. So maybe just for the listeners, bring them up to speed. What do you do? You run a really exciting business, and I know that, but maybe for the listeners, bring them up to what do you do? How do you work with organizations? And then we can jump into the conversation. Does that sound good?
Yeah, I can't wait. Yeah, for sure. So we're in the SDR business. We stay in our lane. We're not trying to be a marketing firm. We're not trying to be a sales closing agency. Companies invite us in when they are either struggling with their BDR, SDR motion, or maybe they have no SDR motion at all. They're a startup and they're trying to go to market and understand what the SDR role looks like. How do we enable it? How do we manage it? So we run that entire function for them from zero to several dozen SDRs. And the beautiful thing, and we'll get into this about the retention, is in our world, we don't have the SDR to AE path because we're just in the SDR business. So uniquely, our clients can actually hire our SDRs and give them a career path and turn them into their future closers. So I know we'll get into that, but that's a little bit about our offering. And we're working with big brands. We got the Zoom Infos, the Sales Loft, the Adobes of the world. But then we have two guys in an idea with $1 million in the bank and trying to figure out what's going on and how can we bring this thing to market. So that's the little bit of what we do.
Yeah, also two things. One, I absolutely love the company name. I think it's so cool. We're going through a massive process at the moment of rebranding a lot of our assets and content and things like that, because we're mainly a media business, but we behind the paywall. And I'm at this point now where we're leveling up all of the content. I'm like, do I really want to stick with a Rev Enabler? Do I need to come up with a really cool name like what you guys did? And then when I hit your website, I was like, this is such a cool connection. Do you maybe talk the listeners through how you came up with that really quickly? I think that's just such a cool.
Yeah, it's funny. Our old company was called InsideSalesTeam.com, and talk about judging a book by a cover. I mean, that's literally what we were, right? And it was, we didn't know what we were doing. It was a 10-person company, very boutique, startup mode. And We were doing sales training, we were doing closing, we were doing consulting, we were doing it was a brand new company. And actually, I didn't start the company. I came on at that moment. And then we saw the boom, or the start of the boom of the SDR function, and we doubled down on that. And what's interesting is that we had a very, very big basketball fan, an SDR, on our sales floor. And he would always use the word, hey, I just alley-oop 2 more leads over to the client. And he would use the word alley-oop in the way that we know it in basketball. And we're like, that's just such a cool analogy. Like, that's such a cool concept. And the first thing, like anyone, is like, hey, is it available, right? So we go on GoDaddy and see if it's available. I'm like, oh my God, it's available. Let's do this. And that's literally was the start of the conversation. And then, of course, it turned it into just this huge concept. And we take it to the next level, right? We have teams in-house that are, the Alleyoop home team, right? We have coaches. We have backup plan or backup players. We have, our A team, our B team. We have, the Alleyoop Lakers, the Alleyoop Bulls. So internally, it's really fun, and we're using that as a way to drive retainment and culture. But externally, people who understand the word totally get the analogy, and that's what our goal was.
As soon as I hit I was so curious when I saw the name, and as soon as I hit your website, I was like, absolute genius. Maybe one of the most creative business names on the planet.
Thank you.
Got
Man.
Apple and
Really
OpenAI, nice. And right? But then you get onto Alleyoop as like based on like sales and stuff. Anyway, so cool, big fan.
Well, I think the thing is like, you got to have fun, right? Listen, sales development is the hardest job in sales. And if someone disagrees with me there, I'll go toe to toe with that statement. You're getting punched in the face with rejection every single minute of the day. And so that's the hard part, by the way. And so if it's not fun, if it's not exciting, if you don't feel like you're a part of a team and something that's bigger than yourself, and you're not doing it alone, and all of our reps work from home, so you have to have that culture, and it's game time, right? We have to be on the court working together. And so we have fun with it. There's a lot of companies in our space that are very, corporate-y, and there's like their website literally looks like Microsoft's website. And I'm like, listen, let's just have fun with this. We're recruiting young, enthusiastic people trying to get into sales. Let's give them a place that, is more exciting than just that corporate structure.
Yeah, I really love that. And yeah, it's so true. You've got to have fun with it. Like when I came up in sales, very aggressive, like cold calling cultures, and we'd always find little games, right? Like who can get the most amount of Michael Jackson lyrics into the script, on a cold call. And if you book a meeting, you get X number of points, and you got to have fun with it. Otherwise, like you said, especially where the connect rates are so bad these days, or they are a lot worse. I know there's tools out there that you can use, but it's not the same as it used to be like pre-pandemic. So if you're going to get punched in the face, or it's going to take you 4 hours to get punched in the face because you're just hitting voicemail after voicemail, it's got to be fun and engaging. So yeah, exactly. Maybe we'll get into some of that stuff a little bit later. There's one thing I really, really want to start on. I love that you've when we caught up the other day, you spoke about this. I'm a big advocate of this kind of stuff. Is video screening. Yeah. Especially a lot of people that are time poor, struggle to get internal sign off on like external recruitment support. So they have to do a lot of the heavy lifting themselves, like screening, running through the 500 CVs of people that have applied clearly for the wrong job, but you still want to go through them. Talk to us about the video pitch screening piece of your motion, because I think it's really, really, really good.
Listen, if I was hiring chemical engineers, you better believe I'm going to be fanatical about their resume. You better believe I'm going to count how many degrees they have and how good they did in school.
Yeah.
But we're not. We're recruiting SDRs. We're recruiting people who are communicating with their voice and articulating a message in an enthusiastic way to get someone curious to learn more from somebody else. We're trying to communicate with someone who needs to show tenacity and grit, and how they turned, from nothing into something, and how they had challenges in their life and they persevered. Like, those are the things that I care about significantly more than what their GPA was on their resume when it comes to being successful here. So what better way to do that than giving them an opportunity with their voice, not their resume, and with their face and communication skills and their body language, to tell us stories and tell us exactly what makes them tick and what is it that they believe they could bring to the table. So like you and I right now, we've never shaken hands. We've never met in person, but I feel like I know you, like, and I could call you a friend just through our dialogue through Zoom calls and communication on video. So that is so important, especially in the age of where we live in now, post COVID and in a remote world. So we give our candidates a way where they can interview through a one-way video. We call it a video cover letter, so they can actually stand out off their resume. So it's not just one way. It's not just, oh, wow, we have an opportunity to save time, money, and effort to see people. And then, of course, see them how we want to, see them and judge their ability. But the candidate likes it just as much because it makes them feel that they can stand out from the rest and give us their unique differentiator on why they can be a great fit here. So that's why we use it.
I know, that's so cool. Do you use any like specific tools for that, or do you just get them to use like a video on their phone or Loom Video or Vidyard or something like that?
There's a company that we work with. It's called Wedge HR.
Okay.
And ironically, I know the owner. We actually reached out to them. We found them. They're a client of ours now. We have a great relationship with them. We're helping them with their sales development strategy, but post believing in their product and using it. So we were a client first of theirs. But Wedge HR is a great company. They do some really amazing stuff, but it's very simple and user friendly. There's a lot of more robust ones that are, for billion-dollar brands. This one can absolutely handle that, but for us, it's very customizable. It's simple, and it's very user-friendly, and it's completely white labeled to us. So I really cared about the candidate experience more than ever. So their ability to just on their phone, on a computer, go through 6 questions that are already asked and predetermined and custom to our job description, and give them an opportunity to really shine. And every time we get we call them wedges, every time a wedge comes in, we're all excited to watch it and look at it and learn. And it's a really great way to introduce yourself into the hiring process.
I guess you guys look at those submissions and then look at 6 months later if you hire them and start to look, or maybe we every now and then we make a mishire, right? And then what did we miss? Is there anything in the video that we maybe we missed, or maybe we need to ask differently next time based on first job, or maybe they've been in seat for a couple of years or something like that? Do you guys do retros and look back at the video submission and all the other steps leading up to that moment in time?
We absolutely do. And it's funny, we actually use the wedge now at the end, to your point, because one of the things we talked about earlier is that, our clients can hire our SDRs into their ecosystem as a future closer.
Yeah.
So we actually have those SDRs a year later go back into the same tool that they had to introduce themselves now, but that video submission is going to the client. And now the client is evaluating that person who's been on their campaign for a year. And you can see the difference between where they started, right, with us day one to where they are today. It's distinctly different.
Yeah. I think your model is absolutely fantastic. Like, I just can't imagine anybody that wouldn't want to do it. Like, who would not want to hire somebody that's been vetted by super experienced people that do this? They're like you said, you stay in your lane, like this is all you do. And then you put them through their paces, you develop them and coach them and turn them into great SDRs. And then you say, hey, you can go and hire like those 50 random people over there, or you can take this dude here that, can swing the bat and connect with it, consistently. It's such a powerful model, and probably very nice differentiator for you when you're up against, some of the others that are just going to make the cold calls and book a few meetings for you. There's a nice handover. Feels like a smooth transition.
I only know of one other company that does it that way out of thousands of lead gen firms. But the difference between them and us is that they mandate it, which I don't like. Right. A lot of companies come to us and say, hey, I actually never want to hire SDRs ever again. No offense, but they're coming to us because they don't want to manage that function. And so that is not their end goal. But then other companies who are mostly startup mode, they want to keep everything under their one umbrella and not be outsourcing everything, which makes a lot of sense. So it gives them an opportunity to do it. It's funny. Here's how we did it. It's really simple. People think this is a genius decision. And a lot of people thought I was nuts when we did it. But the reality is I didn't want to be poached anymore from our clients.
Yeah.
That was it. Like I walked into the office one day and 3 reps didn't show up to work. And all of a sudden, the client didn't renew. I'm like, what's going on here? And our new amazing client just poached 3 reps that were booking meetings for that client. So I never wanted to get into that confrontation ever again with the client. So why are we doing this, right? It's a win-win-win. We win because the client pays us for it. Secondly, the candidate or the SDR wins because they're growing their career. And the client wins because they're growing their sales team. That's the reason why they came to us in the first place. And by the way, those AEs that they just hired, our past SDRs, now need appointments. So guess what they do? They stay with us long term. So it's a really good recipe.
Yeah, totally. And you deserve to get paid. Like, you're investing heavily in these people, right? And that's like one of the problems that we're trying to solve in the market is people don't make that investment.
That's right.
So yeah, absolutely. And look, there's going to be like probably founders listen to this and like VPs of sales and things like that, SDR leaders. So where in the process do you implement this? Is this like here's a job advert, but don't hit the easy apply. You will be ignored. You need to submit this. Here's the link to do it. Is that the play, or is it you shortlist people after they've submitted and then they get the link and then they have to do it? What does that process look like?
Very simple. You go to our website, you fill out a form. We power our applicant tracking system with Rippling. So as soon as they apply, Rippling gets the notification. Our recruiter reviews that notification with their application to see if it's a good fit. And then we literally hit one button and it sends them an invitation to complete their video cover letter with an explanation of how to do it. And then they complete that, which then goes back to our recruiter and they review it and then they schedule an interview. So it is a step in the process, but if you think about it, how many first calls or phone screens are you doing, right, that video can replace? And how many man hours do you have recruitment or HR people doing those calls that literally can be done asynchronously? So that's how we are able to, see the value, not only from a financial perspective, other than, what we see in the candidate experience, but yeah, it saves us a ton of time and money for sure.
So we've built the leading skill optimization platform with 400 plus sales lessons, 12 courses from prospecting all the way through to late stage deal negotiation and more, one-to-one sales coaching and AI sales assistance. And I want to give you 7 days free access to the platform. The reason I want to do this is because nobody gets a degree in B2B sales. And after training and coaching hundreds of sales reps and teams in the last 2 years, most haven't mastered critical selling skills, and it's preventing them from being promoted, earning great money, and building a great career in B2B sales. So go to the revenueenabler.com, grab a free trial, and join hundreds of salespeople that are closing their skill gaps and mastering sales. There's a link in the video description. I'm looking forward to getting you set up. Give me a shout with any questions. Yeah, I can imagine. I can also just hear people going, oh, well, we've asked them to send a video, but you've literally just said, send me a video. Like, there has to be some guidance. Like, of course it's going to be rubbish. Someone said the other day, like, why do I need to train my AI? Surely I'm just buying it. Why is it not already trained? It's like, dude, like, if you hire, you're treated like a human being. Like, until it has the context, it's just going to just go off and do its own thing. So I guess you're really strict on, like, I think you said there like 6 things. Like, these are the six buckets that we want you to talk about. Like, you've got plenty of time. There's no like pressure to do it in the next 17 seconds. But here's the link, go complete it. And then if you do a good job, then we'll bring you in. Is that kind of how it flows?
Yeah, so you could customize it to however many questions you like. They recommend under 10 because you don't want people to take too much time to do it or they won't do it. Yeah. So this is our strategy. It's 6 questions. You have up to 2 minutes to answer each question. Now you can set the guidelines of, okay, do you want them to have a practice session? Do you want them to try to answer that question a few times, then submit it? We're lenient. We say, hey, yeah, they can have 5 attempts to do the answer. And so we want to give them free reign on doing that because none of these questions are, AI technical copycat questions they can look up. Yeah. And they're more stories. And then those 6 questions are all revolving around sales development. For instance, have you been an SDR before? And if so, what is your favorite channel? Phone, email, and LinkedIn. That's a question we ask. Okay. What tools are you familiar with before that you've used in your outbound efforts? That's a question we ask. Working remotely. Have you ever worked remotely before? And if so, how do you schedule and plan your day so that you are getting the job done and being most effective at home? Like, those are questions of 3 of the 6 that we would ask in that interview process. And it gives us a good overall feel of, is this someone who could work in our environment, understand our technology, right? And be amazing cold callers, which is a huge piece of our business. So that's what we looked for.
Yeah, love it. Okay. And then like shifting gears from the submissions happened, any best practices that you can think of for not so much the candidate, but for the hiring manager, the sales leader, the founder, if it's a small time business, um, to make sure that like help them avoid a mishire? Like, and does anything come to mind that you can maybe share with the community?
Yes. So once we actually hire, they go through the video interview. They're going to go through a couple interviews live, but let's get there for a second, because one of the things we do in the live interview session is we actually give them a script and we do a mock role play.
Okay.
And it's the most nerve-wracking piece of the entire interview process for sure for the candidate, because they're literally there's two people watching them do a cold call for the first time on our script. And it's definitely nerve-wracking, but by design. Because here's the reality. It's nerve-wracking to cold call a CEO, period. So you're going to be doing that all day long, and we need to know how do they respond in the hot seat. It also gives us some ability of how careful they are with their words, how their tonality is, their talk track. And then what's uniquely different is that we don't just do it once. We then give them feedback, coaching, positive reinforcement, and some criticism. And we ask permission to do that. But then that test is to determine their ability to be coached, right? And can they then take what we just taught them and put it into action very quickly? And if they can, that takes us a whole nother examination of not only can they communicate effectively, but now they can actually take coaching effectively and implement it. And that's what we look for. So we do that in the interview process to make sure, to your point, we don't misfire. The second thing that we do is we put them on our home team, our basketball analogy. They're sitting on Alleyoop's team, learning our brand, our tools, our pitch, our conversation, our ICP, because I don't want them on a client's campaign if we're not completely confident in their ability. So I'd rather, again, to have them practice on the practice court with us before we have game time with the client. And that's what we do.
Love that. I don't know if I should talk about this on a recorded line, because we might be onto our next $1 billion idea. But do you know what? I'm a pretty generous dude, so maybe we'll just talk about it.
I love ideas.
As he was talking, hey, look, if this thing takes off, just remember me. Yeah, don't forget about me. Bring me to the Caribbean on your private yacht. I've been
buy him
building
another monitor. So, he wants another monitor for his TV.
Exactly. Yeah, I think if this takes off, buy him another 49-inch TV piece of monitor. I've been building loads of 11 Lab AI voice agents for our customers, because we've been doing a lot around like building the playbooks and training the sellers and things like that. But unless they implement it, right, it never shows up in sales conversations, and then never shows up in the close one field in CRM. So one of the things that we've been building is training bespoke agents like FDs if you sell cybersecurity, so that when a rep turns it on, it has all of the context. So when it's like, hey, John, this is James from CrowdStrike. We've never spoken before. Can I take 30 seconds to say, I'm calling you today? The agent is trained to be a FD for a 2,000 person manufacturing company that could be interested in CrowdStrike, right? So we've been building loads of those and getting loads of success. And I was in London with a team yesterday, and we rolled out new frameworks for cold calling. And within 30 seconds, they all stuck their headphones on and they started role playing with it and practicing it and applying it, right? And I'm just wondering if there's because in the back of 11 Labs, you can see like the conversations that are happening. I wonder if there's do your video submission, then submit, like have a cold call pitch. We can go in and see, you can listen to it or record some of it. Have you ever experienced any of that? Have you already, implemented some of this?
So we are working with a company right now that is integrated with our dialer, that is doing that in more of the training function, not in the hiring function. So we have, I call it our sparring partner. All right. So it's a sparring partner. It's really just set up for our ICP at this moment. And it's designed for how reps come onto our sales floor and they can use that AI to practice with, to drill with, to rehearse with. And we can turn up the intensity or the level, if you will, of difficulty. And it's pretty fun to watch. We've only had one person get 100% yet. And ironically, it's the number one SDR on our sales floor. So it's pretty good. to judge someone's ability, but most importantly to to give them an opportunity to practice. And it saves a lot of money on management time as well in the hiring, in the training process when they're brand new. But I want to work that. I want to do it more. I want to do it with you because it sounds exciting, and I think you have something that's uniquely different than what we have today.
I think that'd be really cool. Like even at the early in the process, if you've got volume coming through, because you can go in and listen to it, right? And sometimes I used to say to people when I was recruiting them, I'd say, look, I wouldn't tell them what was going to happen at 10 o'clock on Thursday when they turn up to the interview, because I want to really test their sharpness. But when they rock up, I say, look, today we're going to do a role play. And they're like, shit, was not prepared for that. And I'm testing their intelligence and how quickly they pick things up. And like you said, I get them to do it. Then I give them some feedback. And if they can implement very simple feedback in the next 5 or 10 minutes, I know I can do something with this person because I'm going to invest significant amount of time with them in their entire journey with me, but definitely in the first 30, 60, 90 days when they're ramping up, right? So, but I've always had to do that manually because this stuff wasn't available then. But I'm just thinking if I was going back to that role right now, I would implement your video thing 1,000,000% because I used to sit up until terrifyingly late at night scrolling through CVs that are just painful. But then I'd have to be present in all of those role plays and assessments where actually some of that stuff could be done with AI.
Yes, I completely agree. Let's do it.
Let's roll. Okay, cool. I'll put this as a sign action. Okay, so let's say we've hired somebody now and this person is through the door. We're really excited and we want to make sure that we keep them and that they deliver on what we need them to, hence why we've hired them. What's your go-to playbook from a retention and a pathway to promotion? Again, don't have to go down into the weeds, but what are a couple of the building blocks that come to mind?
So here's how I look at that. First off, before we start promoting, we just have to understand people when it comes to recognition. My mentor said to me a long time ago, Gabe, people will work for money, but they will die for recognition. And just being validated and being recognized just on the day-to-day is so important, especially on a sales floor and especially in the sales development world. As I said before, you're getting punched in the face verbally all day, every day. If you don't have someone in your corner, let's do a boxing analogy, saying, hey, it's okay, you're doing fine. Yeah, your nose is bloody, but you got 4 more rounds to go. You're going to be okay. Go get them, kid. If you don't have that happening throughout the day or throughout the battle, then you're going to lose people left and right. I remember years ago, I walked in on a Monday and it was someone's first day on the sales floor. We were in the office at the time. And I went up to him and said, hey, congratulations. Welcome to the team. Looking forward to working with you. Hey, listen, let's do lunch tomorrow. I have an appointment today, but let's grab lunch tomorrow. He said, yeah, absolutely. It was 11 o'clock. I said, okay, I'll see you tomorrow. He's on his way out to lunch. He didn't come back. He never came back from lunch. He would he just got knocked out literally. And he was so afraid to tell me because he was embarrassed that he couldn't handle the rejection. So recognition is so important. So how we promote people is we promote people based on level. So you can be an SDR, a senior SDR, and then you can move into a manager of SDRs. So we try to create a level within the SDR function that would be a hierarchy that they can move into. So you could go SDR, senior SDR, SDR manager, SDR director, and those are 4 opportunities to get promoted. Yeah. Now, not everyone wants to be an SDR forever or even manage that. Some people want to get into full-time closing or sales. So you have to figure out, do they want to be a closer? Can we get them into an AE role? Thirdly, they can even get into campaign management or client success. Like I always say, the SDR role is the gateway to everything else within the entire go-to-market landscape. So if you want to go ahead and be in client success, maybe that's your next trajectory. And there's options there within our company, but also we help facilitate them to leave. We call them Alleyoop alumni. We don't want people to leave. No one does. But we also don't want them to leave abruptly, right? Yeah. And have us be surprised. So let's figure that out together.
Yeah, I love that. One of the things that came to mind is, I don't know if he's listening, but one of my good buddies, a founder of a recruitment company, and that's his core thing. He's been in recruitment for a very long time, started his own business a couple of years, and he just really focused on customer success and AEs. he helped me hire AEs and SDRs in both the businesses that I built. So I've got a lot of time and respect for him. And one of the things that he taught me when I became a VP of sales is get the people that you've just hired to write their own job description after they've accepted the offer letter, because it really highlights sometimes the lack of clarity on that person of what's expected of them. And what I found is, and what I found with like some other people that I work with now, is they're just getting frustrated that the person they've hired is doing things that they don't want them to do. And I'm like, have you actually asked that person to write down what they believe their job is actually all about? And they're like, no. And when they do, surprise, surprise, there's a massive gap, right? And over the Christmas period, I wrote this free download on the website called the Sales Readiness Playbook. And it's just basically frameworks and infrastructures and little tools that people can use when they're hiring and onboarding and ramping up sellers, and ultimately getting them ready to go and get punched in the face or close deals or whatever it might be. And one of the things I talk about in there is having like an SDR and AE driven job description Google Doc that they complete, and they share it with you ahead of day one, so that you can sit them down on day one and go, hey, there's a little bit of a gap here. Let's close it right now, so that we are aligned and we can put our best foot forward together, and avoid that 5 days in, I don't think this is working, or I don't feel like we're aligned, or I don't feel like you understand the role, partly because we've done a really shit job of communicating it to them in the first place, and they're just not clear. Like, do you guys do anything like that, or seen anything like that work out in the past?
Absolutely. I mean, I think just the manager to SDR relationship and knowing expectations and where they need to go next within the organization is paramount. And it's interesting. It could be as little as, something as small as just KPI attainment, right? There was a situation where a couple of years ago, we had a rep that was just not hitting KPIs consistently. And I was looking at the report and I'm like, why is this happening? This doesn't make any sense. So I called the manager and I said, hey, why is your rep not hitting KPIs 4 days in a row? It's just weird to me. And they're like, yeah, I'm trying to figure that out too. I talked to them. I'm like, okay. So I called the rep directly, kind of freaked him out a bit. Called the rep directly and said, hey, what do you think your expectations are for this, and this project? And they had no idea. And the reality is they were so misaligned between that relationship, and it was something as little as that. So we got it fixed. Obviously, they became wildly successful, but it's essentially exactly the same thing at every level. How do we get you from where you want to be to where you are today and where you want to go? And so those are the things we have to think about and write down and plan and be specific about, and then get them the track to run on.
Yeah, totally. And I said, if you see this, but I can almost imagine 99% of people would not raise their hand now when I say, how many of your employees have a path to the next step? It's clear. Like, there's actual milestones and things that they need to achieve, and not just like hitting the KPIs, but development, like skills and capability that's being improved over time. Like, do you see this? Like, just really doesn't really exist in most cases. So reps are like, I don't know, maybe I will go over there because I'm just spinning my wheels here. There's no documentation of how I'm going to go from SDR to senior, or from AE to senior, or from senior to enterprise, or whatever. Do you see that much?
I do. And it's interesting because we have a lot of reps that come to us every day to want to work here. And a lot of them come from our competitors and just saying what it is. And a lot of people think like, oh my God, you have so many people that have worked in your competitors that work at your company. Listen, we're not actively hunting these people. They're coming to us because they're seeing what we're doing internally. They're seeing people that have been in the SDR role here for 2 years, but got promoted 3 times, and that person didn't, and they're wondering why. So the big thing that when I'm at the final interview stage with candidates who are trying to come work at our company, and maybe they're at an agency prior to coming here, I ask them, I say, why are you coming here? Because you're already doing what we're doing. Like you do what it is we do in the same industry that we are in. Why are you looking to leave and come here? And the number one resounding response is, well, I've seen all these people in your company that are just like me, and now they're here and I'm still here. And I'm like, what happened? And so I'm like, let's talk. And so I see that a lot from the outside as well. And I think it's super important that you have to have that, because again, a lot of people think, oh, let's hire an SDR. Now we have a cold caller for life. No, you don't. You have a cold caller for a short period of time until you do something about it. And so that's very important.
Yeah, 100%. And the reason that it's not just that they're up here, It's they're up here and they're up here and they've gone through that path at the same company. They've not
Yes.
gone from that in 5 years and they've been at 3 different companies and being able to secure a little bump every now and then because other companies are desperate. It's because you've poured effort and time and like love and care into these people to develop them into great people. So they want to stay. Why would
Yeah.
they want to go?
I'll give you two examples and I'll be quick. There's a guy named Jose and another lady named Daisy. They started 4 years ago at the exact same time. And they were we have an academy program, as I told you before, they can be on our sales floor for a period of time. And it's called the Alleyoop Academy. So they're actually in training. Both of them never were SDRs before. One was, but they were in retail and they were in sales and customer service. So they knew how to be client facing, great communication skills, all the right things, but they never did remote prospecting. So they're in our academy. They both get on the sales floor. They get really good results. They're always top 1 and 2 every month. They move to senior SDR. They move to SDR manager. And then one became a campaign director who talks to our clients and CEOs all day about strategy. And one became our operations manager who manages all of our back-end reporting. So very different trajectories where they are, but that's where they wanted to go, but they started the same place. Here's what's interesting. There were 20 other people that started with them in that class that are not here. So the reality is like some people have gone and left us and have become successful. Some have stayed and grown into those efforts. And I see people who are SDRs still after 4 years later. So what was different? Was it the rep or was it the culture, the company, the training that didn't give them a path to run on? I don't know, but I'm sure it's both.
Yeah, 100%. And what do you think about this whole A players thing, especially in the SDR role when we're looking for like an A player, and I think you can still use the word A player, but I don't think people's definition of A player is very accurate. They, which we can get into. But do you see that like as a bit of a mistake out there? Where people are like, yeah, we're looking for like rock star SDRs, but we're going to pay them $30,000, £25,000 a year, and we're going to sweat them and that kind of stuff. Like, do you see that mistake being played out on your side of the pond like it is over here?
Yeah, I think it's a role that you have to grow into being an A player. And again, there is a place for SDRs that don't ever want to be AEs. A lot of people think that I'm crazy for saying that, but trust me, I know I have SDRs that had zero interest in being account executives. It's higher pressure. It's long sales cycles. It's significant, drought sometimes. It's a complicated buying cycle. And yes, it's pays more potentially, but is the stress worth it? I'm not sure. Do you like being able to punch in, punch out, make calls, be transactional, pass over meetings, and make a good income? Yeah, people like that too. So it doesn't mean you have to find these AEs who are kind of going backwards potentially as an SDR. Those would be considered A players maybe. So it's very hard to find this A player that you're talking about, especially ones because if they're such an A player, they're probably doing well at their company, and it's impossible to get them. And my philosophy is find someone who is who has the desire to be an A player and has the potential skill to be one, and then develop that as fast as humanly possible and use tools like your AI tool to level them up as quickly as possible too.
Yeah, million percent. I look at it through the lens of actually don't really care too much around the tenure piece. Like I think it's bonkers. I talk about this in the playbook, but I think it's bonkers that we define quality of a candidate or a human being based on time in seat. It's usually a terrible indicator of capability, right?
Yeah.
Which again, I think also we are responsible as an organization via doing it internally or hiring external people to come in and build capability in our organization. But A players for me aren't defined based on time in seat or black books that never follow through. It's like, are they gritty? Are they intelligent? Are they genuinely curious? And I can instantly tell just in the first couple of minutes based on a few of the questions that they ask me. Or when I ask them a question, they ask me a question back, and it's genuine, and are they coachable but also adaptable? Can they take feedback well, and can they actually adapt and implement it? Otherwise, they're just lip service. Can't really do much with people like that won't change, right? So if you hire the right characteristics and then you have the right internal mechanism and process to develop these people, and take them on a journey, you can actually build highly capable people that happen to go and hire the 6-figure SDR from MongoDB.
Right, exactly. You said 3 words originally when you started talking: gritability, right? Intelligence, right? And you said the third word, I think you said curiosity, right? Curiousness.
Curiosity,
Yeah. So when you look at that, those literally are the 3 things you have to find. Those are the top. It's funny. If you asked me that question before you answered, I would have said the same 3 things.
Yeah.
So you
and actually
have
not that
to
hard to test for, right?
100%. And back to the resume. Like, can you find that on a resume? No, you cannot. No. Right? You have to start communicating with these people and giving them a chance to communicate. That's why the video interviews are so powerful. But at the end of the day, grit is the number one thing we look for, right? Tenacity, stick-to-itiveness, resilience. Those are huge. But curiosity. I start every interview very simply. I said, listen, I'm not going to ask you many questions. I really don't judge people based on the answers they give to my questions. However, I'm going to ask you to ask me questions, and I'm going to judge you on exactly how you ask me those questions and what type of questions you ask me. So go ahead. What do you got?
And then you see into it, they go, oh shit, I should have come prepared.
Exactly. And everyone in my company it's funny, like all my recruiters and sales managers who meet with these candidates before they meet with me, they say, if you don't have questions for Gabe, he's not hiring you, period. So if you say, hey, if he asks you, when he asks you, what questions do you have for me? And you say, I'm all good, I got them all answered, you will not get hired at our company, guaranteed. I don't care how good you are. So it's so funny.
Some people might say this is ridiculous, but I stopped reading CVs a very long time ago. I can't remember what it was. I think it was like 70-something% of CVs are littered with lies and like non-factual information. And like I always have to joke, nobody goes down to the local post office and gets a rubber stamp put on their CV to validate that it's accurate. So I'd rather just put their CV in the bin and just have a very quick conversation with them, and very quickly can tell if they're intelligent and genuinely curious. Not just some people are like, oh yeah, I am curious because look, I asked this question just out of curiosity. What's that mean? Like using the word curious in the question doesn't make it curious. Like being genuinely curious about the situation you're in, what the company or the person is currently talking about, or what they're saying, or in general, like any human being is a company, right? But is it genuine? And there is a very clear line between I'm curious and I'm genuinely curious in what we're talking about or the situation.
It's funny. You want to know what I tell people if they ask me, hey, can I send you a CV? I say no, but you can update your LinkedIn profile to exactly how your CV should represent you and how you feel you should represent yourself on social media, and then send me your link. And I don't know if you have the time to go down the rabbit hole on LinkedIn, but LinkedIn to me is where it started as a virtual resume, did it not? Right? So it is exactly that. So no, I don't want to see your CV. I want to see your LinkedIn profile. And then they do it. And by the way, I'm probably looking at it already. And then I watch them update it 48 hours later and see what they do. We have BDRs right now having 20, 30, 40,000 followers on their personal LinkedIn profile. And they started with 0. So, and by the way, they're getting about 30% of their appointments from LinkedIn because they have such a big following. And so not only is, the resume important, yeah, sure, but it's the way in which you want to represent yourself socially on social media is so important right now.
Yeah. And also, as you're looking at their CV and looking at their LinkedIn, the two things aren't lining up. It's like, dude,
like
if you're gonna try and pull a fast one, just make sure both of them are aligned, right? Don't have one that says you're a enterprise AE and the other one says that you work at a supermarket. It just doesn't come across well. But yeah, I mean, LinkedIn, we've got a couple of minutes, but let's talk about LinkedIn, right? Because even still to this day on LinkedIn, you can download your profile as a PDF. And that was one of the ways that you could use ChatGPT to learn about somebody before they could look at things like external websites and stuff. So that is what it's built for, really is to help you land roles, and obviously other things now these days. But it's just crazy how little effort goes into building that out.
I know, it is
and using
crazy.
it.
Yeah, it's funny, my daughter's 12 and they're learning how AI is affecting, they're learning about AI at school. And so my daughter put me in AI. And they said, who is Gabe Lullo? And it came back with like all of this stuff, and it was all from LinkedIn because I post a lot of stuff. And literally, she was going around saying that my dad's famous because everyone else's parents were like, not as many. But it's all because of LinkedIn, and it's funny because it's so powerful. You and I would not be having this conversation right now if it wasn't for LinkedIn. 90% of the team that we recruit, we don't, going back to recruitment, we used to spend thousands of dollars a month on ZipRecruiter, on Indeed, on Google Ads, on all these job boards, Career Builder, to get people to come to our company. Here's an interesting thing, James. 4,200 applicants last year applied to our SDR job at Alleyoop, and we spend $0 on advertising.
Yeah.
Zero. So it's pretty amazing to see what LinkedIn has been able to do for us in regards to recruitment, for sure.
Yeah, I hate saying people are sleeping on it because I don't know, like I feel like that's just one of those buzz things that's going around on LinkedIn these days. But it is so true. Like I've just hired a head of sales enablement in Emma and a program and coaching lead in Salvador, and I literally just put up a job advert, and Emma didn't even apply. She just sent me a DM saying, "I've been following you for years. I would love to work with you. Let's have a chat." And I got all this unbelievable talent just come lining up.
Yeah.
People messaging me still now saying, I noticed the job adverts have been taken down. Please, can you keep my name to one side and give me a call when something else opens? And just like you, I rock up every morning. I think about what I'm up to at the moment, organizations I'm working with, problems we're solving. And I just type them into LinkedIn and I hit post and engage with a couple of people that I like content like yours and a few others and get on with my day. It's really not that hard.
Yeah. No.
It's pretty simple,
Yeah. It's funny, like Bob, people see me all over LinkedIn and you all over LinkedIn, but at the end of the day, to your point, I don't spend much time on it. I actually have it scheduled. Do you see what I'm saying? I schedule everything and I don't spend much time on it, but I do rely on it dramatically, of course. But yeah, I couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah, I don't do what all the gurus say, where you need to comment on 15 people's posts every single day. You need to scroll the news feed for 15 minutes before you post so that you can gamify the algorithm. I just ain't got time for that. Building a business, right? Like, I don't have time to sit there and do
I just don't have time for it. But I went from 0 to 25,000 in just a couple of years. I know you're well over 30,000, I believe, if I recall correctly. But at the end of the day, it's like we don't have time to do those things. I see the value there, but for sure, I post consistently. That is 100% the thing. Here's how I look at it: just give value, give free advice, give free training, give free access, and people will come back to pay you for stuff that is more valuable. And it's just how it works.
Yeah, and don't worry about the likes. Like literally in the last probably couple of months, our business has almost quadrupled. And if you look at my LinkedIn posts, other than when I post my lovely new home office setup, thanks to you, I get like maybe 10, 15 likes, maybe 500 impressions. The point is the authority that I'm building. Like when people read the words matter. They're like, this dude gets it. When they listen to my voice in the podcast, this guy's been around the block. He's lost the hair. He's getting it back from going to Turkey. Like they understand that, right? It's not about, oh my God, I got 65 likes on this, but I've got tumbleweed in my inbox. It's a complete opposite.
Yeah. Here's how I know LinkedIn works for me. Every time I get on a call, every time I get on a demo, every time I get on an interview, every time I get on a prospect who is about to close and my AE needs my assistance in the end of the sales cycle, they recognize me. They recognize the company. They see what we're doing, because right before they get on that call with me, they're going to look me up. They may not be following me. They may not be liking my stuff, but they're going to look up and say, oh, wow, this guy has been posting every day. This guy just has a newsletter. This guy has 25,000 followers. This guy has, he's just going to trust, credibility, done. Let's figure out how we can help you. Let's figure out what we can do. What does it make sense to work together, or does it not make sense? Not, do you know what you're talking about? That just changes the game. And that's all you want. That's all you need. You still got to put in the work. You still got to go talk to people. Nothing's going to magically appear in your bank account, but you have authority, to your point, and you have trust and credibility. And that's why it's so important.
Yeah. I've loved this. I could probably do this all day with you, and then tomorrow, and then over the weekend. But I know you're a super double, triple busy man, so I will let you get on with your day. But anyone that's listening to this, it's not all of the time we get to interview people that are real experts. Like, we had a quick chat before about, like, we want to talk about recruitment and retention, but we haven't scripted like word for word questions. And in fact, a lot of the stuff I've asked you today actually hasn't even been anywhere close to what we spoke about before. And Gabe just clearly articulates stuff, like clearly gets it. He's an expert in this area. So if you don't go and follow him after today, you're absolutely bonkers. He's super intelligent, really nice guy, go out of his way to help you. And he's running a really cool business that I think is doing some really great stuff. And I love the continuation part of, we'll help you, put a load of meeting on the calendar. But if you want to de-risk the hire, you can take this person off the street and put them into your organization, and they can help you go and build a great business. And I just think that's such a cool, powerful model and business that you're building. So yeah, thanks for coming on the podcast and sharing your expertise. And I'll be in your inbox soon to get you back on and keep this conversation going.
Thank you, James. I'm a huge fan, as I mentioned at the top of the call. We appreciate you and all that you do. Keep posting because we read it all, and we're appreciative of you and excited to continue the collaboration, my friend.
Sounds good. All right, buddy. I'll speak to you soon. All right. Thanks for listening to this episode. I've got something else I want to give you before we wrap up here. So we've built the leading skill optimization platform with 400 plus sales lessons, 12 courses from prospecting all the way through to late stage deal negotiation and more, one-to-one sales coaching and AI sales assistance. And I want to give you 7 days free access to the platform. The reason I want to do this is because nobody gets a degree in B2B sales. And after training and coaching hundreds of sales reps and teams in the last 2 years, most haven't mastered critical selling skills, and it's preventing them from being promoted, earning great money, and building a great career in B2B sales. So go to therevenueenabler.com, grab a free trial, and join hundreds of salespeople that are closing their skill gaps and mastering sales. There's a link in the video description. I'm looking forward to getting you set up. Give me a shout with any questions.